Hi guys, welcome back to Wentworth Life, the YouTube channel that talks everything Wentworth. So in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing Season 8, Episode 3. But before we get started, if you're new to the channel, then hit the subscribe button right now for all future updates. And if you stick around until the end of the video, I will be responding to some of your comments from a previous video. Okay, so at the end of last week's episode, Mari tried to commit suicide, but she was saved by Will, and Ferguson was hit over the head by a homeless guy and robbed. But despite all that blood that was leaking from her head, she was still breathing after a dog walker found her and phoned for help. So what happened next? Well, a little bit of a shock, but this episode actually featured no Ferguson. Literally no mention of Ferguson, so we do not know what state she is currently in. The writers are really keeping us hanging on that one, which I believe will be taking centre stage in next week's episode, and apparently it's a shocker. So we have no Ferguson this week, and we also didn't have any scenes with Rita, but hang fire guys, everything is building to something very big. So I'm going to start off this review with some of the smaller storylines that happened, and then we're going to finish off on the big. Alright, so let's start with Mari. So Mari has survived and is currently down the psych ward, and she's being monitored by Dr. Miller. So Will heads down to see how things are going, and he makes it clear to Dr. Miller that he wants Mari transferred out of Wentworth and into a secure mental facility. And Will even gets the ball rolling with transfer papers. And I think literally at this point, Will, he doesn't know what to do anymore. He doesn't know how to treat Mari. He hates him, but he doesn't want her to die. At least not on his watch while he is governor. But at the same time, there's no way that he can be professional around her or be nice to her after everything that's happened between them. So he just wants her out of the prison, out of sight, out of mind. However, Anne Reynolds, and we'll get on to a bit more about Anne Reynolds later on in this video, but Anne, she tells Will that the prison cannot afford to transfer a high-grade prisoner to the mental facility, because Anne is literally, she's hell-bent on saving money for the prison in any shape or form. So she basically tells Will that it's okay, Dr. Miller is more than capable of treating Mari at Wentworth. So the transfer is off, Mari isn't going anywhere. So Mari does have a couple of sessions with Dr. Miller throughout this episode, and it kind of reminded me of when Kaz was having her meetings with Dr. Miller last season. It had a very similar feel. And if I remember correctly, when Kaz was having her meetings with Dr. Miller last season, it was Season 7, Episode 3. So how funny how it comes around to Season 8, Episode 3, and Mari's now having these sessions. It comes full circle, doesn't it? So Mari basically just tells Dr. Miller that she's a failure, and she later on ends up having some sort of night terror while she's in the psych ward, and she tells Dr. Miller about it. She tells him that she thinks it was some sort of warning, like she feels that it was some sort of delayed near-death experience after her attempted suicide, and all she saw was blackness, which scared her. I mean, she feels that that's what she's got coming to her very soon. She feels it was a warning because the blackness is coming for her. And in a later scene, Mari has another dream, but this is a bit of a weird one. So she's staring up at the light above her, which, by the way, must be a huge distraction if you try and afford to sleep. But anyway, while she's staring at the light, she's starting to fall into a dream. And it's almost as if the lights at one point are turning into flames. It was really weird. I don't know if it was like foreshadowing something sinister that's going to happen later on down the line to Mari. Flames, death. But then Mari turns over and she sees her son Danny at the glass, and she goes over to him. He's smiling at her, and she's like getting really emotional before he disappears. Now, despite what anyone's opinions are on Mari as a character, Susie Porter is an absolutely amazing actress. She's been fantastic this season so far, and we're only on episode 3. You can clearly see how much Mari loves her son. It really does show through. The emotion that she shows on her face is outstanding, especially in this scene. So later on, Mari tells Dr. Miller about her dream, and she tells him that she feels that it was like her son's spirit that was visiting her to tell her that he's okay, which gives Mari a little bit of comfort. So Mari then tells Dr. Miller that she now knows what to do. So she goes to the police and she retracts her statement against Ruby. Now, is this Mari being genuine? Or is this going to be some sort of massive act in order to get Ruby? One hell of an act if it is, because and one hell of a twist. But is she going to play the long game? Is she going to be like a Sonia Stevens? Is she going to put Ruby in a false sense of security? Or is Mari genuinely trying to bite the bullet and actually change this time? Only time will tell. I don't think we are going to know as a viewer. It's going to keep us guessing as well. So anyway, we didn't get any scenes with Rita this week, but Rita was talked about a lot in this episode with Ruby. So Ruby gets a visit from her dad, and this is the first time that us as viewers have met him. And you clearly see that they have a great father-daughter relationship, and what we learn is that Ruby's dad hasn't heard or seen of his other daughter, Rita, not since Ruby's car crash all those years ago. So her dad is under the illusion that Rita is a bad apple and she disappeared after the car crash because she caused it or whatever, but of course Ruby knows the truth. She decides not to say anything when she first sees her dad, but then her dad tells Ruby that he has cancer and that he is dying. So Ruby now in a little bit of a state and she's upset, even though she has her two close friends close by, Ali and Boomer, to talk to. All she wants is her big sister Rita, but of course Ruby has no idea where Rita is, and neither do we at the moment. But anyway, Ruby decides that she needs to tell her dad the truth, so she sets up like another meeting to tell him the truth about Rita. And I think because her dad is dying of cancer, she doesn't want him to die not knowing the truth, or she doesn't want him dying thinking bad of Rita. So he ends up coming back for a second visit, and Ruby tells him the truth, that Rita came into prison as an undercover cop to protect her, and she also took the blame for the car crash, which is why she had to leave to avoid any payback against the family. So if it wasn't for Rita, Ruby would probably already be dead. And it's a really nice scene. Her dad turns around and says that, oh, he wants to see Rita now, but of course Rita's location at the moment is top secret. However, I do think you know, even though Ruby has told her dad and she's happy and everything is all sweetness and light at this stage, I think Ruby is in danger. Serious danger this season. Everything's kind of like sithering on the boil at the moment. Everything's being calm and collected with certain characters, but it's literally, this is the calm before the storm. So, I mean, what I'm enjoying about Ruby in this season so far is her scenes without Rita. We're finally seeing her standing on her own 2 feet, and she seems to be keeping out of trouble for now. I'm also glad that the relationship between Ali and Ruby is over. I mean, I'm glad that they're just best friends now. So, yes, but Ruby, she's in serious danger. It's definitely going to be something to do with the Rita storyline. Definitely watch out for that one. I'm convinced Ruby's not going to live to the end of this season. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments box below. But I think Ruby will be dead by the end of this season. Okay, so now I'm going to go over to Lou and Reb, my two new favourite super couple characters. Now, I felt really sorry for Reb in this episode. We all know that Reb is transitioning into a man, but we learnt in last week's episode that his HRT still hasn't been approved in the prison medical centre, and I think apparently it's been about a month since he had his last shot of HRT. So anyway, this episode focuses a lot on that storyline. So while Reb is having a shower, Reb starts to have a period. It's been that long since he had his HRT that his period is now coming back, and his body is slowly starting to change back into a woman, which is truly heartbreaking. So he tells Lou what's happened, and Lou tells Reb that he's going to have to go and speak to the governor. But Lou also tries to sort something out herself, just as a backup, because like I've said in my previous videos, Lou will literally do anything for Reb. So anyway, Reb goes to see Will and he tells him what's happening. And with Will being the tidy guy that he is, he says he will get it sorted. But that bloody Anne Reynolds soon puts a stop to it by telling Will that it's not necessary to order 6 months worth of HRT for a prisoner who hasn't been very cooperative with his partner since being at Wentworth, and she cancels the order to save money. Yet again, she's just saving money, and then, fuck anyone else, she just wants to save money. And it's left to Will then to deliver the news to Reb. And I gotta say, at this point, I was a bit like, what the fuck? Surely if someone is prescribed medication by their own personal doctor on the outside, surely they should still be entitled to get prescribed medication while in prison. So I think Anne Reynolds is going to push the women right over the edge at some point, and it's not going to be pretty, but a little bit more on that later. So Lou manages to get some steroids from somebody else inside the prison, but Reb tells Lou that it could be cut with anything. So instead, Lou organises a visit from her brother, who brings the correct stuff in and passes it to Lou at visiting. But before Reb gets a chance to use the medication, Mr. Stewart, he saw the exchange while he was monitoring the visitors. So he comes into the cell and he literally just removes the medication from them. He doesn't put Lou in the slot, but he does get rid of the medicine. So poor Reb still hasn't had his HRT. So as a last resort, Reb ends up taking the stuff that Lou got for him, but later collapses after suffering an anaphylactic shock and is taken to hospital. So I have no idea what Reb took or what that stuff was cut with, but it's not good. So Lou goes to Reb's cell to pack some things for the hospital, and then that's when Lou notices the medication that Reb has taken, and it's the same stuff that Lou had got off that woman. So, I feel really sorry for Lou and Reb at this point, but what are they going to do now? So, it wouldn't surprise me if at this stage, going forward, Lou tries to topple Ali as top dog soon, in order to be in charge of the women, so Lou can literally get anything she wants when she's top dog. I can definitely see it happening. Because I don't think Lou wants to be top dog. She just wants to raise money for Reb's treatment. But if she has no other means and ways of earning money, then she might be forced to take on Ali for the role as top dog. Let me know in the comments box below. Do you think that is the next step now for Lou? Interesting. Okay, so now over to newcomer Judy Bryant. So, this episode did heavily feature Judy. So who is Judy Bryant? We learn that she has leaked official sensitive government documents on her online website. She is being detained for that very reason. However, is it really a crime what she's done? Because Judy in the episode is saying she hasn't actually committed a crime. And the information that she did leak on her website was information that was sent to her by some secret sources. So Judy has a laptop somewhere, hidden away somewhere where nobody knows, not even the NSO, the National Security Operations, who comes into the prison to visit Judy. Now, I actually really enjoyed this scene. So, this NSO guy comes in to visit Judy to try and find out where the laptop is. But Judy's giving nothing away. So this guy, he literally goes from being this professional person to all of a sudden becoming a proper serious threatening bully. He literally tells Judy that they can just remove her and torture her for the information. And telling you guys, I was not expecting that sudden change. It was literally Jekyll and Hyde moment. So what does Judy have that is so sensitive? What is this guy hiding? And also, this brings me on to Anne Reynolds again. So, throughout the episode, Anne is really annoying. She's constantly undermining Will's authority just to save money for the prison. But Anne also seems to know Judy Bryant from when she was working in prisons in the UK. And so Anne tells Will that Judy's a total troublemaker and she's going to have to be watched very carefully. You can see in some of these scenes that Anne literally despises Judy. You should see some of their faces that Anne pulls. Proper cow face going on. There's definitely going to be a big feud between these two as the season goes on. Anyway, so Judy soon learns that she's got a lot of support from the women in the prison, and she becomes friends with Ali, Boomer and Ruby. So when Judy is first introduced to prison food, she is shocked, and so was I, guys. Ugh, that food was disgusting. So we learn that the food supplier has recently been changed by surprise Anne Reynolds to save money for the prison. But seriously, guys, this food looks disgusting. Apparently it's something called breakfast stew, which I've never heard of, and Boomer refers to it as breakfast spew, which I have to agree, it looks vile and disgusting. So Judy mentions to Ali to form a hunger strike with the whole prison, and to force the officers to bring back the old supplier. So the women go on a hunger strike, but poor Boomer, she loves her food, and I really feel for her on this because I love my food too. So she ends up sneaking into the dining room during the strike, and she takes some food and eats it, but later on she ends up getting food poisoning from it. Oh God. So the new call centre is up and running, and Judy and Ali, they decide to try and contact the press over the hunger strike. I think this is that guy who showed his card at the start of the episode to Judy saying that I will tell you a story. So I think they're contacting him. But in order to contact them, they need a distraction. So they ask Boomer to cause a distraction. But poor Boomer, she ends up spewing all over her computer, and she ends up going to hospital with serious food poisoning. So what the hell was this food that she was eating that gave her such food poisoning? That's disgusting. Anyway, Ali manages to contact the reporter, and they end up putting it in the paper, much to Anne's annoyance. She is very annoyed. Anne Reynolds likes to be in control, and she doesn't like to lose it at all. So the hunger strike is short-lived when Mr. Jackson tells the women that he will reinstate the old supplier. It only took for one of the women to get serious food poisoning for them to change their mind, but isn't that always the way? And by the way, I am loving Judy Bryant. What about you guys? Let me know. So later on, Judy goes to Ali and asks her for a top dog favour: to telephone that reporter guy and tell him where her laptop is hidden, because she wants to leak some new information to the press. However though, Ali's cell has been bugged by a secret recorder, and before Ali even gets to make the phone call, the laptop is found by that NSO guy who comes into the prison to show Judy that he's got the laptop and plays her the recording of Judy and Ali's conversation. And he then goes on to say that she's going to be charged with terrorism offences. And then he starts to show us certain things on the laptop, like terrorist plots and stuff. And but I think it's all been planted, because you can clearly see Judy, she's like, oh my god, that's not my stuff, that's not the stuff that I've been sent. So the NSO guys probably planted that on the laptop. So we've got Judy for a while by the looks of it. So Judy goes out into the yard to tell Ali, and things start to fall into place. Anne Reynolds is seen escorting that NSO guy out of the prison in front of the women, and the penny drops, and Judy realises that Anne must have planted that recording in Ali's cell. Judy ain't happy, and she tells Anne that she framed her in front of all the women. So when I said earlier that I think Anne Reynolds is going to end up pushing the women over the edge, this could be it. Judy isn't going to take it lying down, and she seems to have a lot of support from all the women and top dog Ali. And I don't think Ali is going to be taking it lying down either, as it was her cell that was bugged and her conversation. Big things are coming. I can see a riot on the horizon. Also, in one of the trailers that we've seen over the last couple of weeks, there's a clip where Judy looks like she's beating the crap out of someone on the floor. I wonder if this is going to be Anne Reynolds, because these two are in for a massive feud. Will these two have a fight at some point? And what game is Anne Reynolds playing? So many secrets to uncover, and it's only episode 3. It's very exciting. Now, I know a lot of people were disappointed with no Ferguson in the episode, but more than likely, guys, Ferguson's in a coma. She lost a lot of blood the last time we saw her, so she's probably recovering slowly. So be patient, guys. Next week is going to be a big Ferguson episode. And not only that, Reb is on his way to hospital. after collapsing. Will these two meet in the next episode? Now, I know they don't know each other, but what if Jones sees Reb in his uniform, and then the escorting officer sees Ferguson? I have no idea how this is going to play out, but it's got me pumped, and it's going to be absolutely amazing next week, guys. So I know a lot of people have said that this was a slow and boring episode, but I just have to disagree, guys. Things are being set up nicely. We can't have massive fight scenes in every single episode. Things have to take its course. Do you know what I mean? We've learned so much about our new characters in this episode, and do you know what? Things are set up nicely now. Everything's going to come full circle as the season goes on. So things are definitely on the way to explode, so get ready, guys. Also, there was no preview for next week's episode, which is a bit mental because they always show a preview, even in season finals. So that must mean that they're not going to give anything away for next week's episode, so trust me, next week is going to be huge. The little that we do know in next week's episode is that Anne closes the protection unit, which means that Mari and all the baby killers and psychos are coming back into general, and also the news spreads about Ferguson being alive. But that's literally all we know. How was she found? What happens before then? So I highly doubt we're going to know anything else until next week when the episode ends, but guys, seriously, get ready. It's going to be brilliant. It's not often that we don't get a preview for the following episode. We're definitely in for a good one, but I did enjoy this week's episode. I think my favourite part was probably when Judy had that first visit with that NSO guy. Things took a very dark turn very quickly, and I'm really interested to see how this storyline is going to pan out. I also love the scene where Ali tells Miss Miles that the women are now on hunger strike. I think Ali looked amazing in those scenes. But let me know in the comments box below, what was your favourite moment from this episode, and what do you think is going to happen in next week's secret episode that we know nothing about? Let me know. And on the subject of comments, it's now that time for some comment replies. So we have Demon Knight. The episode 4 trailer was not on the link I got when I watched episode 3. Do you have it, Craig? I know last week by now you'd posted the episode 3 trailer. Do you happen to have episode 4 trailer, brother? Demon Knight? Nope, no trailer was released for episode 4 from the official Foxtel website. So I'm unable to upload it for you because they're keeping things tightly sealed for next week. So yes, we'll just have to really hold on tight. But thank you for your comment, Demon Knight. Hope that answers your question. We have Notcha Mate. Not enough Rita Connors this season needs to heat up. I have a feeling someone's going to die soon. Yes, not enough Rita Connors, but I think her storyline's taken a slightly back burner just because we need to learn about these new characters. But Rita's storyline is coming. It is coming, and I miss her too. I want her back, and I think she's going to end up back inside at some point soon. So get ready. And as for someone dying soon, we have got quite a lot of characters going on, so it wouldn't surprise me if somebody does die soon. I just hope it's not Vera. So thank you for your comment, Notcha Mate. Christopherelli. I wonder if it is true and we get to see some flashbacks or memories of Bea and Ali together. I saw it being mentioned a few times. Love your channel, keep up the good work. Oh, thank you, Krista. So something interesting, guys. Danielle, who played Bea, has been seen on set while they've been filming for next year's season 9. So, is Bea going to return in flashbacks, i.e. will Ali die? And will Bea be waiting for Ali on the other side, or will Ali just have a near-death experience? So, if you think about it, today, Mari had a vision of her son standing at the glass, you know, giving her comfort. Are we going to have something like that with Bea? It would be absolutely fantastic. I'm all game for that. So yeah. So apparently she's been seen filming, guys. Don't get too excited. Like I said, I don't think she's back and that she's alive. I think it's going to be part of a dream sequence. So yes. Anyway, thank you for your comment, Krista. So we have the white 2-pack. I love this better than Orange is the New Black. I have to agree with you. I've tried to get into Orange is the New Black. I think I got halfway through season 1 on Netflix and I kind of gave up. It was kind of good, but at the same time, it was too much. There wasn't enough drama going on. It was a bit too comedy for me. For it to be a prison drama, it's got to be a lot more gritty. So yeah, I couldn't get into it, so not for me. But thank you for your comment. And we have Unknown. Ooh. Hey Wentworth Life, out of the new characters, who are you most looking forward to seeing? I am most looking forward to meeting Sheila, who hasn't arrived yet. I don't know when she arrives. I've heard whispers that she arrives in episode 5. Again, they're just whispers. Don't take that as gospel. But I am most looking forward to meeting her because I feel she's going to be a big character, and from what we know about her already, she's some sort of cult leader, so she is going to be trouble. So yes, that is who I am most looking forward to. So thank you, Unknown, and thank you all once again for your lovely comments. You're all amazing as usual. Keep them coming, ready for my next video, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're not already a member. So I will be back very soon with a new video, and you do not want to miss a thing. So if you've made it this far, thank you all for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.